Take it easy. Take it easy. I got you. Take it easy.
All right, creatures of the night. Welcome back to the Talking Taker YouTube channel for another round of digging up the dead man. My name is Alex Doriot. I am one half of the Talking Taker podcast. The dead man is fallen. He is deflating. But hopefully you're not deflating watching this. Thank you for tuning in to this bonus content here on the Talking Taker YouTube channel, where I am adding to the ever-growing, ever-evolving Talking Taker figure memorabilia merchandise collection here. Like I said, I am one of the co-hosts of the Talking Taker podcast, along with my best friend, Mr. Travis White, and I got a few new items to unveil to you and unbox here on the channel today. As you can see, latest edition, also another new addition to the collection, the Coliseum home video souvenir free gift door knocker. You remember I talked about the that's a nice frame right there with the Undertaker's head right through the doorknob hole right there. Didn't even plan that. But I talked on the Ludwig Borga unboxing episodes about the Do Not Disturb watching wrestling door hanger, how there's nothing more nerdier than that, especially a Ludwig Borga one. But on our recent monthly edition of Talking Taker, Travis and I talked about some classic Undertaker Coliseum home video matches. You can, of course, find that right here on our YouTube channel, the video version. You can listen to the audio version wherever you listen to podcasts. So I've been feeling real nostalgic for some Coliseum video stuff. I picked up a few more Coliseum videos to add to my collection, but I had to get this free gift. It was only, I think, $9.99 on eBay. It came with some of the best pristine packaging that I've ever had from an eBay item, and I mean, it is in mint condition here. I almost kind of want to like laminate it or something just to keep it perfect, but I'm gonna hang it right here on the studio door, on the prep room door right here, so the wife can know, don't disturb watching wrestling down here, doing some prep for Talking Taker. But I wanted to tell you guys, guys and girls, listeners, viewers out there, about a really fun event that went down a couple of weeks ago that I got to attend. Very, very cool moment at the Toy Federation, which I have brought up a few times here on this channel, and I'm sure I'll talk about it many more times because it is the local toy store here in Greenville, South Carolina, where I live. It is an awesome place, has a fantastic wrestling section, and they also did an event recently, so I'm hoping they do more of these. But they brought in none other than the hardcore legend Mick Foley for an autograph signing. So I was going to show you what I got from that, and then I also picked up a figure while I was there, a figure I needed for the Undertaker collection, which I'm going to unbox here in just a minute. But let me tell you about the Mick Foley autograph signing. Here's the item that I got here. This is the Mick Foley Crazy Christmas Spoken Word Holiday Story limited edition vinyl record. So it's a 45 record. I picked this up in a nice white vinyl. I love a colored vinyl. Gosh, this came out, what does it say on here? I don't think it has the year, actually, but I want to say I picked it up in maybe 2015 or 16, something like that. I'm not sure exactly the year it came out, but I know that's when I picked it up in Atlanta at Criminal Records, which is the coolest record store in Atlanta. And so I've had this, listen to it, every Christmas, put it on. It's just Mick reading a Christmas story here on vinyl. It's just a cool item. I was trying to think of something really unique and special to bring to that signing. Thought about bringing a home video, a VHS, a DVD, a magazine cover, a figure, but this seemed really different and really unique and special. And I also picked this because the coolest part, in my opinion, of going to this signing was that I got to take my newborn daughter to this signing to take a picture with Mick Foley. I just could not pass that opportunity up to have a photo up with little Joan, 6 weeks old, in her Taker Easy Talking Taker onesie. Have a picture of her with Mick Foley. So I can actually throw that picture up here in the video if you haven't seen it yet.
Oh, a classic.
Oh, absolutely.
Red in that, or black or?
Let's do the red. Try that.
And who's it for?
This is for Joan.
How do you spell that?
Joan. She listened to it on her first Christmas this year.
Did she really?
Well, she will. Yeah, she's just 6 weeks right now. So.
Oh yeah, what are we thinking? It says, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." Here you go.
Thank you. Picture?
We're wearing the same shirt.
Yeah, I think so.
Come on back here.
So there you see it. Joan's even trying her best to give a little thumbs up like me and Mick are. I didn't even plan that. I didn't even realize that till after I looked at the pictures afterward that her hand was almost doing a little thumbs up as well. So that turned out great. Mick couldn't have been nicer. The price was on point. Great price for a picture and autograph there. And I thought this was a cool item to get because, you know, it's sort of a child's Christmas story. You can give this to Joan one day, and Mick actually autographed it to Joan and said, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas" on there. So I actually got Joan an autograph, not myself. And I think that's how I talked my wife into coming down there and doing that with us. But great event. I hope they do more. They actually had another, of course, Mick Foley, Talking Taker Hall of Famer, one of the Undertaker's greatest opponents and greatest rivals. They also had another former Talking Taker character, Scott Steiner, the recent Hall of Famer, was also there. And I actually brought, I have one of his rookie cards, one of the Steiner brothers rookie cards from WCW that I just happened to have. And I said, okay, let me just grab that in case I want to do the autograph with Scott Steiner as well. But we actually got to the signing right as it was ending because, you know, Joan's, you know, she's still a newborn. We didn't want to have to wait around with her too much, so the idea was let's just swing in there when it's wrapping up, so maybe the line will die down, which it had. And Scott, it was actually pouring rain out that day, and so I think Scott had already packed up and was getting ready to leave, so we missed him. Thankfully, we got there for Mick Foley, and that worked out well. But very cool, very unique item. I don't know how many of these Mick has signed, so again, I want to do something, maybe pop him a little bit, something he hadn't seen in a while. So very cool to have that, and specialized to Joan. Very special moment and memory there, and maybe she'll get to meet the Undertaker one day. And speaking of the Undertaker, I also picked up this as I was heading out to just perused the figures that they had on display there real quick. And so again, I have a newborn. My mind's kind of foggy, my brain's kind of foggy. I was kind of just in a haze from meeting Mick Foley. I get real nervous, you know, anytime I get to meet anybody famous or meet a celebrity, meet a wrestler, an icon of my childhood. And I saw this, and in my head, I thought, oh my gosh, a Bone Crunching Action Jakks Series 1 Undertaker. I want to get one of these mint on card on display for my collection because that was the first Undertaker figure I ever owned, and it's a very, you know, important figure in the Undertaker's legacy. It's an iconic figure, and it was, you know, a really good price on it. So I just grabbed that, checked out, went out and paid for it, and I was excited. And then as I'm driving home and I looked down at the figure, I realized, oh yeah, this isn't Series 1. This is different packaging. And I remembered, okay, this is the Best of 97 Undertaker figure, which was a re-release. It's the same figure on the inside, same exact figure, but just in a different packaging, which I don't have in the collection because my childhood one actually had two of them. They're both broken. The arms and the head fell off of both of them. Played with them so much. So many of my original Jakks Bone Crunchers are like that. The early ones, arms off, legs off, heads fell off. They're so flimsy, and you know I played pretty hard with them. So I'm still excited to get this because I can pop this one open here on this video, and I can have the loose version of it, and I can still be on the lookout for an actual Series 1 Bone Crunching Action Undertaker, again in the original Jakks Series 1 packaging. Would love to have that mint on card and display in the collection, but this is such a good figure, it warrants having a loose one on there. So I'm going to open up this 25-year-old Undertaker figure. Let's take a look at the packaging again real quick. They re-released a lot of Series 1 to keep these figures on the shelf. back in 97 in this Best of 97 collection. And you can tell it's not a Series 1 by what's on the back here. We're advertising Series 5, which I think I had 5 out of 6 of those figures for sure. I had Psycho Sid, Savio Vega, Ken Shamrock, Flash Funk, that original debut Rocky Maivia, and this Stone Cold Steve Austin. I actually never had this Stone Cold Steve Austin. I had many Stone Cold Steve Austins, as I'm sure anybody who was collecting action figures at this time had, because he got so many releases. But this was the very first one. I actually did not have that one ever. First one I had was the King of the Iron Rungs, Stone Cold Steve Austin, in the Austin 316 t-shirt and jeans, which was a great figure. I loved that figure. But it took me a while to get one in tights like this. Got the tag team series here. So I had the Godwins, had the Headbangers, had the LOD. Actually got them each individually in different individual series. Didn't have the tag team series. Didn't have the new Blackjacks. Man, I don't know about y'all's toy stores, but boy, were they ever peg warmers at our stores. I never had any interest in having those guys. Didn't care about them on TV. Definitely didn't want their figures in my collection. So those sat around forever. And ringside collection, again, I had 3 out of 4 of these. Had the Sonny, had the Vince, had the referee. Had to have the referee. And I think he was actually in that King of the Iron Rungs pack as well with Ahmed Johnson, Stone Cold, and Bret Hart. And did not have Sable. So there you go. Let's crack it open. Let's let it breathe. Oh my goodness. Feels just like it did 25 years ago, cracking open one of these bad boys. Of course, you got the, gosh, again, if you're my age and you had figures, you probably had 100 or 200 of these little display stands just sitting around. And they're awesome now. I'll display this Undertaker on this display stand now. So, actually, Jax was kind of ahead of its time with the display stands. But back then, gosh, you had no use for this. And you ended up, what I did, you pretended it was a steel chair. Or you pretended it was a table or something. You used it as a weapon for these guys to hit each other with. So, it was kind of nice to have, but really kind of pointless. You had so many of them. And here we go. This Undertaker figure. And this is the purple gloves. This is 94 to 96 Undertaker. This is your first Undertaker figure that you've got back in the day that does not have the hat attached to the head. So that's the big change from the Hasbro figures that Undertaker had. You can take the hat off the head, which I didn't mind it on the Hasbro, but it's nice to have it be removable here. Tie is not removable, but it's interesting. This one has the tie. The Hasbros don't have the tie on there. And then, of course, the other big change, we're in purple. We've moved on from purple to gray. For the time, not a terrible head scan, but, really looking at it, not exactly a dead-on match for the Undertaker. But for the time period and for these early days of Jax, it's not awful. It's not terrible. The figure itself, man, I love the body of it. The hands are open, so you can do choke slam. You can do sort of the reaching to the urn. You can do the Shakespeare pose with that hand. And you've got, oh yeah, you can hear all that. You can hear the bone crunching action in there. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one there on the arm. Yep, arms are awesome. So yeah, the thing that I remember about these figures, I have said some of this here on the podcast before and on the YouTube channel before, but I remember when these came out because I was not a huge fan of the Hasbros. I'm like the one kid my age, the one wrestling fan my age who did not love Hasbro WWF figures. I had a number of them, but I thought they just weren't as playable. They didn't have as many points of articulation. You couldn't do as many moves with them. And so in my figure fed, I had the Hasbro ring, of course, but my figure fed, my storylines were with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, Batman figures, X-Men figures. They took up the bulk of my figure fed. I still used guys like Bret Hart. I used Jake the Snake Roberts. So, you know, I used a few of these Hasbro figures along the way in there, but I used like my Chuck Norris figure. He played like the role of Kevin Nash or of Diesel in my Fig Fed. And the Green Ranger was like the Hulk Hogan of the Fig Fed. He was the big baby face of the Fed. So when I saw these Jack's Bone Crunching figures advertised, I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me correctly, it was on an episode of WWF Mania with Todd Pettengill. It was the first time I saw about these figures, and my mind was blown. I was so excited because you could move the legs, you could move both the arms, you could move their torso all the way around. And I think I told my mom that day, we got to go to Toys R Us. We got to go find these new WWF figures. So we did. My mom was awesome. She was so supportive of my wrestling fandom, even though, you know, she didn't understand it or didn't care about it. She, you know, was always great about buying me toys and feeding that fandom. So we went to the store, and I'm pretty sure I got Diesel. I know I got Diesel. I know I got Gold Dust. I want to say I got Razor, Ramon, and maybe Bret Hart too. I think I got at least 4. Maybe Shawn Michaels also. And I got those guys. I brought them home. I cracked them open, and I was so disappointed with these Bone Crunching Action figures because, for one thing, they were so much bigger than, you know, the figures that I was playing with. So, which was fine for like Diesel, but Gold Dust, Razor Ramon, they were just so much bigger than the Hasbros, and they were bigger than the X-Men and Power Rangers that I was playing with. So and they were so giant in that Hasbro ring that it was like, okay, this doesn't really work in my Fig Fed. And then they were so loose. Matt Cardona talks about this on the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, that these figures were like Woody from Toy Story loose, and they really, really were. And that's the first thing I noticed with this figure. This is the re-release in that Best of 97 series. These joints are tight. They are not flopping and flying around. If you've ever held an original Series 1 Jakks figure, you know that those arms, you can't put that arm straight up like this. It'll just fall straight down. And same with the leg. If you try to hold that leg up, it'll just fly straight down. And that's why so many of mine are broken. Some of those early ones is because those arms and legs would come off. So somehow I actually, much like Matt Cardona has said on the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, I did the exact same thing. I told my mom, I'm sorry, I feel bad. I did feel terrible that she went and bought these things, but I told her, I'm not going to play with these. I don't like these. These suck. These aren't going to work for my Fig Fed. And so somehow she returned them. I guess she, you know, put some tape on them and took them back. Or maybe she lied to me and said she returned them to make me feel better. But in my head, in my mind, she returned them and got her money back from them. And then, I guess Series 2 comes out, Series 3 comes out, and I see that, okay, they're continuing to make these guys. They're continuing to have, you know, the real WWF guys. This is going to be a serious line that they're going to have. And I broke down and said, all right, I need to evolve my Fig Fed. So I went and, you know, again, my mom, sweetest person in the world, she rebought some of these Bone Crunching Action figures, bought me the giant Jakks Mega Ring, Monster Ring, as it were, and I basically retired the Ninja Turtles, X-Men Fig Fed, Power Rangers Fig Fed, and started from scratch on a Bone Crunching Action figure fed. And you know, the rest was history right there. And Undertaker was one of those guys that I got. I had a number of Undertaker Bone Crunchers there in the Fig Fed, but this was the first one. And it's awesome to have this, a brand new, fresh mint on card, freshly opened one to add here to the Undertaker shelf. So it will have a prominent spot up there. So yeah, let me know out there in the comments. Let me know what your Fig Fed was like. Were you like me? Were you in the minority? Did you just not get the Hasbro love? I love them now. I think they're incredible on display, and I have fond memories of them. But did you just not love them as much as a kid as so many people seem to do? Were you the same way with the Jakks? Were you disappointed with those as well? Did you end up going back and getting all of them? What do you think? hit me up in the comments. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Talking Taker podcast and listen to us every month as we continue to dig up the legacy of the dead man. Go to the archives. Follow us at Talking Taker on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And check us out. Our July episode will be dropping on July 1st, and that will be a look back at Vengeance 2002 for its 20th anniversary. An awesome triple threat match with Undertaker, Kurt Angle, and The Big Show. So I encourage you guys to check that out. And of course, like I said, listen to the archives. Subscribe here on YouTube for more content like this. And as always, Taker, easy.